Hello dear students, today I will discuss part 5 of Unit 5 Surface Chemistry. After studying part 5, you will be able to know about preparation of lyophobic colloids. As again, the name indicate lyophobic, that means liquidating colloids. Here we have to learn how the lyophobic colloids are prepared. One more thing we have to know that as lyophilic colloids are solvent loving, so that's why they can be easily prepared by dissolving starch, glue, gelatins, etc. in water either in cold or warming. So dear students, here we have to know only about the preparation of lyophobic colloids. Then after the preparation of lyophobic colloids, we know that after every preparation we have to refine them, that is known as purification. So here also you have to know how the purification of colloidal solution take place. Then the most important topics of unit 5, that is properties of colloids. So these properties may be physical property, these physical property may be filtrability, may be stability, may be non-settling of nature, may be color, may be heterogeneity. Then mechanical properties. In mechanical properties, you have to know about the motion of colloidal particles, that is known as Brownian motion. Then third property, optical properties. That properties depend upon the nature of light and also the dispersed particles of colloidal substance. This property is known as Tyndall effect. Then electrical properties, that means how you find the charge on the colloidal system. Then colligative properties, the colligative property you learn in chapter 2nd, that is solution. The solution show the colligative properties. The colligative properties are elevation in boiling points, depression in freezing points, osmotic pressure and relative lowering of vapor pressure. So here colloidal solution also show some colligative properties. Then charge on colloidal particles. Then coagulation or precipitation. So dear students, in this lecture I only discuss the first 4 properties, that is physical properties, mechanical properties, optical properties and electrical properties, and the rest properties, that is colligative properties, charge on colloidal particles and coagulation or precipitation, I will discuss in the last part of unit 5, that is part 6. So let us now focus on preparation of lyophobic colloids. So first method for preparation of lyophobic colloids is chemical method. So the chemical method may be of double decomposition, oxidation, reduction or hydrolysis. About the double decomposition, you also learn it in 10th and also in class 11th, that means displacement. So here also a type of double displacement. So first, arsenic oxide when react with H2S, that is hydrogen sulfide, a salt is formed, that is known as arsenic sulfide salt. So here this formation of salt indicate double decomposition, that is double displacement. Second, oxidation. As you know that in case of oxidation, either addition of oxygen take place, either removal of hydrogen take place. That's the process is known as oxidation. So look the reaction, SO2 plus 2H2S. When SO2 react with H2S, it will gives 3 sulfur plus 2 water. This sulfur form a colloidal range, that is known as salt. So look again here, removal of O2 from sulfur take place, but in the second reactant from the H2S, a removal of H2 gas take place. So that's why this process is known as reduction process. For sulfur dioxide and oxidation process for H2S. So that means the sulfur salt is formed by oxidation. Then reduction. Look here, the gold chlorides are given which react with the formaldehyde in presence of water. So they form the gold solution. Again look here, in auric chloride, that is AuCl3, Au is present in +3 form, but in the product the charge on Au is 0. So that means this indicates reduction process. Loss of charge, loss of gain of electron is also known as reduction. Here gain of electron take place. So that's why this process indicates reduction process. Here the gold salt is formed. This gold salt is also known as purple of Cassius. One more process, that is hydrolysis. FeCl3 when react with the water, this will gives FeOH का whole thrice salt. So this indicate the hydrolysis of FeCl3. That's why the salt is formed by hydrolysis process. So these 4 chemical method which you have to know for the board examinations. Now second method of preparation of lipophobic salt is electrical disintegration, that is also known as Brady's arc method. Basically this method involve dispersion as well as condensation process. Now what happen here basically? Colloidal salt of metals such as gold, silver, platinum, etc. can be prepared by this method. So one question also asks by which method we can prepare silver, gold, platinum salt. So your answer should be Brady's arc method. Now come again on the same points. In this method, electrical arc is struck between the electrodes of the metal immersed in the dispersion medium. Now what happens here? When the rod are struck, so the intense heat produced which vaporize the metals, which then condense to form particles of colloidal size. So look the diagram properly, and dispersion mediums are shown, 2 electrodes are shown, and below the dispersion medium containers, 1 containers containing ice bath are shown. When the metal vaporize, so these ice bath condense these metal from vapor form into colloidal size. Here KOH is added to stabilize the salt. So this is basically all about the Brady's arc method. So maybe diagrams are given in the board examinations and ask you that which salt can be prepared by this diagram. So your answer should be either gold, silver or platinum salt. Now next third heading, this is most important also. In this board examination also the question came from peptidation, that is define the peptidation. So the process of converting a precipitate into colloidal salt by shaking it with the suitable dispersion medium in presence of a small amount of electrolyte is known as peptidation, and the electrolyte used for this process is called peptidizing agent. Now dear students, this method is applied generally to convert a freshly prepared precipitate into a colloidal salt. That means first of all we have to make a precipitate, and then these precipitate are converted into colloidal salt by adding a suitable electrolyte. So now look the diagram. FeOH3 precipitate, that means salt, we can prepare by the hydrolysis process, and this salt when added with the FeCl3 and electrolytes, so what happens basically, the adsorption of common ion take place. That means here the common ion is Fe3 plus. So the salt look like this, a circle denote the salt and the positive charge from the FeCl3 adsorb on the salt, providing the salt a positive nature. Due to this positive adsorption, the salt never come close to each other, that means never association take place, and this make the stability of the salt. Nowadays students, one more thing we have to know that during the peptidization, the precipitate adsorb one of the ions of the electrolytes of its surface. Basically it is the common ion, and this causes the development of either positive charge or negative charge on the precipitate. Here the development of positive charge take place and ultimately break into smaller particles of size of colloidal range because of repulsion. So these are the method for preparation of lyophobic colloids. So these all the methods are important for board examinations. Try to understand and make the note in the classwork copy. Now dear students, we have to focus about the purification of colloidal solution. That means how we can purify the colloidal solution which are made by either peptidization, either by chemical method, either by Bradick arc method. So now first of all we have to define what the purification. So the process used for reducing the amount of impurities to a requisite minimum is known as purification of colloidal solution. That means the removal of impurities from the colloidal salt is known as purification. So here three methods of purification are given for examination point of view. The first is known as dialysis. So the word dialysis you have maybe listened so many times. When the kidney failure take place in the human body, so the process of dialysis occurs in that condition. So dialysis may be used to purify the blood when the kidney are failed. Here we also use the dialysis to improve or remove the impurities from the colloidal solution. So it is the process of removing or dissolve impurities from a colloidal solution by means of diffusion through a suitable membrane. So this process is known as basically dialysis. So look the diagram. Here a dialyzing membranes containing colloidal particles when passed by the water current. So the water current taking the crystallite particles are removed and left alone the colloidal particles, that is salt particles. So this is the basically all about the dialysis. Now second method of purification, that is electrodialysis. Here we occur same process as dialysis, but here the electrodes are involved. That's why the process is known as electrolysis, and due to presence of electrode, that is electricity, the process is more fast than simple dialysis. So now what about electrodialysis? You have to write like this: when dialysis is carried out with an electric field applied around the membrane, the ions present in the colloidal solution migrate out to the positively charged electrode and left alone the salt particles in the dialyzing membrane. So again look the diagram here. Here anode and cathode are seen. In electrochemistry I told you that cathode is always belong to the right side of your hand and anode to the left hand side. So look the diagram again. Here anode is positively charged and cathode is negatively charged. So that's why the positive particles, that is positive impurities, move to the cathode and negative impurities move to the anode. That's why the left particles, that is salt particles, become purified. Now third method, that is ultrafiltration. So basically for ultrafiltration, generally ultrafilter paper can be prepared to reduce the pore size of filter paper by collodion solution. So here you have to know about the ultrafiltration. That is the use of a special filter which are permeable to all ionic substance except colloidal particles, because the pore of filter paper can be reduced in size by impregnating, that is by moisturizing with the colloidal solution to stop the flow of colloidal particles. That means the simple filter paper can be reduced the size by colloidal solution, which do not allow the colloidal particles to move from the filter paper. One more thing we have to know about the ultrafiltration. The usual collodion solution, one question is asked, what the collodion solution? So it is basically a 4% solution of nitrocellulose in the mixture of alcohol and ether. So this is known as collodion solution. Now how we can prepare the filter paper, that is ultrafilter paper? So an ultrafilter paper may be prepared by soaking the filter paper in a colloidal solution, then hardening by formaldehyde, and then finally drying it. So thus the using ultrafilter paper, the colloidal particles are suspended, that is separated from rest of the materials. One more thing you have to know about the ultrafiltration. Basically the ultrafiltration is very slow process. As you done in the lab, a filtration is the slow process. So now to speed up the process, pressure of suction is applied. So we can apply the pressure of suction, which increase the process of ultrafiltration. The colloidal particles left on the ultrafilter paper are then stirred with fresh dispersion medium, that is solvent, to give the pure colloidal solution. So these all about the purification method of colloidal solution. Now the most important topics of the unit 5 is properties of colloidal solution. So here first properties, that is physical properties. So in physical properties we have to know about the three physical property, that is filterability. Here the colloidal particles readily pass through the ordinary filter paper. That is because the size of pore of filter paper is larger than that of colloidal particles. So maybe one question is arises, why the filter paper are not suitable for filtering colloidal particles? So because of pore size which are more than colloidal particles. Second, non-settling nature. That means you can see the milk. The milk particles never settle down to the bottom of the containers. So this is the nature of colloidal solution. So now the colloidal solution are quite stable as the colloidal particles remain suspended in the dispersion medium indefinitely. So thus there is no effect of gravity on the colloidal particles. One more thing, we take one more example. So many times we have taken the cough syrup. So the cough syrup never settle down the colloidal particles to the ground state, that is due to gravity they never settle down in the containers. So this also indicate the non-settling nature of colloidal particles. Third, color. This is also very important. So many questions may be asked in the competition in respect to the color. So the color of colloidal solution is not always the same as the color of substance in the bulk. This is due to the following factors. That means the color of colloidal solution are not always the same as the color of the substance in the bulk. That means maybe the color is changed. So on which factor the color of that solution depend are like this. So first factor, the size and shape of colloidal particles. That is the finest gold is red in color, but as the size of particles increases it becomes purple. So that means the size and shape of colloidal particles of same sol also relate to the color. Second factor, wavelength of the source of light. So that means what the source of light and what the wavelength of the light. This also basically a one factor to decide the color. Then method of preparation of colloidal solution, by which method we make the colloidal solution either by chemical method, either by peptidization, either by Brady-Kark method. This also basically responsible for color of that particular colloidal solution. Then nature of colloidal solution. The colloidal solution may be positively charged, may be negatively charged. Then the way of an observer receive the light. That means from which side the observer receive the light so to see the color. That is whether by the reflection or by transmission. So for example, dilute milk give a bluish tinge in the reflected light, but reddish tinge in the transmitted light. That means the dilute milk gives blue color in the reflected light, but reddish in the transmitted light. So these factors on which color of colloidal particles depend. Now this is most important property, that is mechanical property. It is also known as Brownian movement. So basically colloidal particles exhibit a ceaseless random motion and swarming motion. So this kinetic activity of particles suspended in the liquid is called Brownian movement. It may be also defined the zigzag motion of colloidal particles in the dispersion medium is also known as Brownian motion या Brownian movement. So diagram are shown here. Zigzag motion shown the Brownian motion. One more thing, we use so many times toothbrush which are also zigzag, and I also told you about the structure of alkanes is also zigzag because of bond angles, है ना? That is the bond angle 109 degree 28 minutes. So that's why we cannot write the alkanes in a straight line or at 90 degree. This we can write in the form of zigzag fashion. So zigzag word also came here. Now one more thing may be asked that कि causes of movements, that is what is the basic reason for the Brownian motion. So the basic reason of Brownian motions are basically bombardment of dispersed particle by the molecules of medium. That means a bombardment of dispersed phase or take place by the molecules of medium, dispersion medium. So that's why due to this bombardment the colloidal particles never settle down and show the zigzag motion. Some more important points about the Brownian motion, you have to know that as the size of particles increases, the chance of unequal bombardment decreases and the Brownian motion become to disappear. That is, more the size, less will be the Brownian motion. Second, the Brownian motion should be noted that it does not change with the time but change with temperature. That means more the temperature, the more will be the Brownian motion. One more thing you have to know that about the viscosity. The more the viscosity of colloidal solution, less will be the Brownian motion. One more point you have to note it down about the Brownian motion, that the Brownian movement is a direct demonstration of assumptions that molecules in a gas or solution are in the state of constant ceaseless motion. Thus, it confirms basically kinetic theory of gases. So these are some properties which are related to the Brownian motion, that is mechanical property. Now optical properties, that is known as Tyndall effect. This is also most important. This effect you can observe in your house also. When light pass through a small hole or a window in a dark room, so you have seen that some dust particles suspended in that light. That means the motion of particles are seen in that light that pass to the hole or the light entered into the dark room. So this is also example of Tyndall effect. So now we have to focus about the Tyndall effect. When a strong and converging beam of light. Converging means when the light passes through the convex lens, so the light merge at a point that is known as converging beam of light is passed through a colloidal solution. Its path become visible, that is bluish light, when viewed at right angle to the beam of light. So this effect is known as Tyndall effect. Then this is the definition of Tyndall effect. Now some more point you have to know about the Tyndall effect. The light is observed as a bluish cone which is called as Tyndall cone, and the Tyndall effect is due to the basically scattering of light by colloidal particles. So maybe in one sentence you have to write the answer about the Tyndall effect. So the basic reason of Tyndall effect is scattering of light by colloidal particles. Now look the diagram. Here a convex lens is seen. The light when passed to the lens converge at a point. When we viewed at right angle by microscope, we see the bluish light and one cone is formed, that is known as bright Tyndall cone. So this diagram basically denote the Tyndall effect. Some more important points you have to know about the Tyndall effect. That means what the basic cause of Tyndall effect. In fact, colloidal particles first absorb light. What happened? Basically, colloidal particles first absorb light, and then a part of absorbed light is scattered from the surface of colloidal particles as a light of shorter wavelength. Since the maximum scattering of light take place at right angle to the place of incident light, it becomes visible when seen from that direction. So this is the basic reason of Tyndall effect. Nowadays students, we have to know the condition, on which condition Tyndall effect can be seen. So first condition, the diameter of dispersed phase, that dispersed particles must not be much smaller than the wavelength of light employed. That means there is not much difference between the size of dispersed particles and wavelength of light. Second, the refractive index of the dispersed phase and dispersion medium must differ widely. That means both have more difference in the refractive index, the dispersed phase and dispersion medium, so that the light can be reflected or refracted. Now the some common examples are here given that show the Tyndall effect. The blue color of sky and sea water, this is also due to scattering of light by colloidal particle take place. Visibility of tail of comets, twinkling of star, and one more common examples, the light entering the house in the dark room. One more examples, projection in the cinema hall. Also these are the some examples which denote the Tyndall effect. One more thing you have to know about the Tyndall effect. The true solution do not show the Tyndall effect due to too small size to cause scattering. So that's why Tyndall effect can also be used to differentiate between the colloidal solution and true solution. That means if two containers are given, container A and B, and so say that a containers A show the Tyndall effect but B do not. So how can you differentiate? So that means the container A show the Tyndall effect, that means it is colloidal solution, and container B do not show the Tyndall effect, so that containers denote the solution. Now dear students, the fourth property, this is also very most important property, that is electrical properties. Here two properties are, you have to know that in the electrical properties, that is electrophoresis and electroosmosis. So here electrophoresis is also known as cataphoresis. So basically it is the phenomenon involving the migration of colloidal particles under the influence of electric field toward the opposite charge electrode, that may be anode or cathode. So this process is known as electrophoresis or cataphoresis. So this method you have to apply to find the charge on colloidal particles. That means in a colloidal solution, the colloidal particles are electrically charged and the dispersion medium has equal but opposite charges. So thus colloidal solution on the whole is electrically basically neutral. So this method is applied to find the charge on colloidal particles. That means one question may be arises कि how can you find the charge on colloidal particles? So your answer should be electrophoresis. Second, electroosmosis. As the osmosis I have told you in the unit 2 solution, कि osmosis means the movement of solvent particles from their higher concentration to lower concentration. Here also the same method is applied. Here the phenomenon involving the migration of dispersion medium, that is solvent, not the colloidal particles, that is solute, under the influence of an electric field is known as electroosmosis. So look the diagram to understand about the electroosmosis. Right hand side negative, that is cathode, and left hand side, that is positive anode. The dispersion medium are shown in the right hand side, and to the left hand side dispersion medium move in the direction opposite to that of the solvent particles. So this indicate basically the electroosmosis. Now dear students, here some solved questions based on the above topics are given. The question number 1, assertion region types. Basically here 4 choices are given. In first choice given that assertion is correct and region is also correct, and region is the correct explanation of assertion. In the second choice is assertion regions both are correct but region do not explain the assertion. In third choice is assertion is correct but region is wrong. In fourth choice is assertion is wrong but region is correct. So this type of questions may be asked in the board examination. That is basically 5 questions of 5 marks is asking in the board examination. So how to write the answer of this type of question? Assertion. So one sentence are saying to you and the reason for that sentence is also given here. So out of 4 options you have to choose the correct answer. So look, first question, assertion. An ordinary filter paper impregnated with collodion solution stop the flow of colloidal particles. So this is true. Basically this is the ultra filter paper. Now the reason for that sentence is the pore size of filter paper become more than the size of colloidal particles. So here if the size of filter paper is more, the colloidal particle can be passed, but it never happened. So that's why reason is wrong. So your answer is third. That means assertion is true but reason is false. Now question number 2. How can colloidal solution of ferric hydroxide be prepared by peptidization? So again recall about the peptidization. A colloidal solution of ferric hydroxide can be prepared by adding a small quantity of ferric chloride solution to freshly prepared precipitate of ferric hydroxide, which adsorb ferric ions and giving the ferric hydroxide positively charged salt. Now question number 3. What are the Brownian movements and why it happens and on what factor it depends? This is also very important question. So the zigzag motion of colloidal particles is called Brownian movement. It happens due to unbalanced bombardment of particles by the molecules of dispersion medium. So now Brownian movements depend upon the basically 2 factors. Size of particles, I told you also, smaller the size of particles, more faster is the motion. Second, viscosity of the solution, lesser the viscosity, faster is the motion. Just like more motion in normal water than in the water containing glucose molecules. Also take the example of shahad. In shahad, the movement of particles is very less than in comparison to movement of particles in the water. Now question number 4. On what factors color of colloidal solution depends? This I also told you. Again explain here in the form of question. A color of colloidal solution depend upon the following factor: wavelength of light scattered by dispersed particle, size of particles, nature of particles, and the manner in which the observer receives the light, that is transmitted light or reflected light. So these are your answers of this question. Now question number 5. Explain the following. A freshly formed precipitate of FeOH का whole thrice can be converted into colloidal solution by shaking it with a small quantity of PPCl3. So again learn about the peptidization. When a small quantity of PPCl3 is added to freshly formed precipitate of FeOH का whole thrice, it get easily dispersed. Here FeCl3 act as peptidizing agent which causes the movement of development of positive charge on the precipitate of FeOH का whole thrice, because here the common ions in between FeOH का whole thrice and FeCl3 is Fe. So that's why the common ions are absorbed and then they develop the positive charge on FeOH का whole thrice. This I also given in the form of figure in peptidization. Now question number 6. Why do colloidal solution exhibit Tyndall effect? So again, due to scattering of particles, light by colloidal particles. The answer is the colloidal solution exhibit Tyndall effect because the size of colloidal particles lies in the range of which can scatter light. So these are your answer. Now dear students, some questions are given to self-assessment test. 1. How can a colloidal solution and a true solution of same color be distinguished from each other? This I have told you in between the lecture. So recall the lecture and write the answer. Then define the peptidization, dialysis, electrophoresis. This I also given. 3rd, explain what is observed when a beam of strong light is passed through a colloidal solution or salt. This I also told you in between the lecture. Then second part of question number 3rd, the path of light become visible when it is passed through H2S3 salt, that is arsenic sulfide salt. So this you can also do if you listen the lecture properly. So these are the some questions for self-assessment test. So try to write all the question in the classwork copy. So now dear students, do all work in the classwork copy. Prepared a note with the help of PPT video. Stay safe, stay healthy and keep learning. So this is the second last part of Unit 5. That means one part is left to complete the chapter. So dear students, again I told you that listen the PPT video and whatever given in the PPT video is a complete note. That means the all questions in the board examination can come from the notes 100% sure. If you read and prepare a notes properly, you got the 100 out of 100. That means 70 out of 70 in theory paper. Confirm. So that's why focus on the board examinations and try to achieve 100% marks in chemistry. Thank you dear students.